Welcome back to episode 153 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Now we could begin the off season. Last year was last year too, but last week was my kind of dump on everybody, go fuck yourself episode. Dodgers won the World Series again. You can suck it. There's still going to be plenty of that throughout the off season, but um, we actually, I don't know how, but we have some stuff that we want to discuss today regarding the off season. Kind of had to scrape the bottom of the barrel a little bit here, but there are things to talk about. And I was telling Kyle this. It's like the first couple weeks is always hard because really nobody. It's not like NBA free agency where the minute free agency opens, guys are signing left and right. Like that's not gonna happen. Like unfortunately, this is gonna take some time with some of these guys. But um, we have stuff that we want to discuss today. But before we get into all that, Kyle, how are you doing today? You probably feel a lot better knowing that Brian Dable is now out of a job. So
I was just gonna say, man, I was gonna get into that a little bit. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I've been kind of watching the other sports a little bit to try to keep my mind busy. The MLB offseason sucks for me because I'm not an avid watcher of the other sports. I have my favorite teams, but other than that, man, there's not. I'm not diving deep into it like I am baseball. But yeah, man, Brian Daboll out of a job. It had to happen, right? That's pretty much all I'm gonna say. I'm happy he's out. I had high hopes for him, but clearly it didn't
Bill
work out, and I
Belichick,
don't know if anybody
welcome
will.
home.
I don't know if anybody's gonna work out, man. This Giants franchise is a fucking disaster. Yeah, but other than that, man, I'm doing pretty good. The off season, it sucks. It kind of is what it is. But we have a few things that are kind of in the works right now. We applied to winter meetings, so we'll see what happens there. We have the WBC coming up, like we talk about pretty often. And then yeah, pretty much the rest of the off season and the ebbs and flows of that. But yeah, man. Other than that, it's just kind of it is what it is. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I mentioned this to you off camera. I needed a week to just do nothing, and that was last week. Like I didn't. Obviously, I had my other chores and stuff, and sometimes I had to go run to the grocery to get some, to get some stuff. But I needed a week to recover, man. It was a long season. It was a long October, even going into November. With the
Hmm.
parade and everything in Game 7. Um, I needed that week to just do nothing, recharge, try to get back into these other sports, which thankfully I have, over the last couple days here, but wasn't easy. Again, the analogy I can give to people, it's like when you just devote all your time and dedication to one team, and then it's over, then you got to go back. It's like trying to get into a pool. Like God, it
Yeah.
is freezing, man, and you got to like put your toe in there first just to feel it out. But I am back into the pool of my other teams, and so focusing on that a little bit. Of course, keeping my eyes still on the MLB off season, but like I said, man, I needed a week, and it's been 9 days since the Dodgers won, and I still can't believe it. I think I'm still in that state of mind. They were replaying Game 7, the international feed on MLB Network, so I got to see some of that again, and made me smile all over again. And I was happy, but and then at this time, especially after your team wins a championship, you're a sucker for any kind of news, any kind of interviews you can get out of them. So, I heard Max Muncy do an interview in foul territory. I saw Miguel Rojas on every freaking platform. Um, you know,
Yep.
rightfully so. You know, um, some of the other I saw Mookie Betts do his big podcast from his house. So, right now I'm just trying to soak in that stuff, and just there's a lot of stories that are gonna come out from this World Series, and it was I took great delight of hearing the Jeff Hoffman story of you know talking shit in the brawl, and then all the players were like, "You don't want part of this game. You're gonna fuck this up." And sure enough, that's what happened. But um, to answer your question, I'm doing well. Still basking in the glow of another championship, and I'm glad I just remembered this right now because now that the off season is here, I have a whole off season to fantasize and reflect on our championship run. But then I also could start thinking about opening day and the ring ceremony and the banner ceremony. What are they going to do this time? I have the perfect person that can throw out the ceremonial first pitch at Dodger Stadium on, I think it's Thursday, March 27th this year, March 26th against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I have the perfect person to throw out the first pitch. It's Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw should throw out the first pitch. I'm putting it out there now as a prediction, and I hope somebody in the organization hears it. Clayton Kershaw should throw out the first pitch opening day Thursday against the Diamondbacks, the banner unveiling. He's going to be there for his ring ceremony anyways. At least I would hope he is. I don't think the Dodgers are just going to mail it to him. All right, here, happy retirement. Thanks. You know, enjoy your retirement in Texas with your family. I would like to think that Kershaw will be at Dodger Stadium for that weekend. So, why not? Have him throw out the ceremonial first pitch. So, that got me excited, about next season. But I know that was a winded answer again, but hey, we gotta kill some time here. So you know, this is good. To answer your question, doing
So,
fantastic. Uh, yeah, doing fantastic. Dodgers are world champs again, and I still can't believe it. But anyways, getting into the topics of hand here, we've got a couple manager hirings. Now there were some during like the postseason and the World Series, but it I don't think we're gonna touch on that. And breaking news right now, actually, Kyle Hendricks announcing his retirement. So there you go. So
props to
yeah,
him.
props to him. Thank you for helping us out here with the topic today. So we'll do that. But we have some new managers. The Padres and the Braves over the week named their managers. The Padres had Craig Stallman actually do his press conference today. So maybe just mention that a little bit. We got the preview, the final preview of the awards. It seems like we've been talking about these awards for like 3 months now, and
Yeah, man.
finally, we're gonna get some winners this week. And then, unfortunately, we got to talk about this damn gambling thing that happened over the weekend again. Nothing says, you know, this gambling thing is becoming a huge mess. And guess, the awards in Vegas this week, guess what they're sponsored by? BetMGM, damn it. So, you know,
Funny
MLB,
how that
funny
works
how
out.
that works, huh? You got one of the best closers in baseball, you know, giving money, giving prop bets to the cartel and stuff, and your award show is in Vegas. The place is Sin City, the place where the most wages are made, and then you got a gambling sponsor behind it too. So how about it? So double edged sword there, and then how about Bryce Harper? Speaking of the cartel and stuff, how about Bryce Harper? You know, MLB, like, is the mob running baseball? Like, what's going on here? Like, there was some life-threatening quotes that came out from
Yeah.
over the weekend from TMZ, so we'll touch on that. But, um, yeah, right off the top, Craig Stallman and can you help me out with the other name again? Walt
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 Weiss.
Weiss, managers of the Braves. Um, I can just speak on terms of the Padres. The Craig Stallman name came out of nowhere. Um,
Hmm.
don't ask me why, but I was actually listening to their local radio station an hour before um, the uh, the announcement came that he was going to be the new manager. They were interviewing Albert Pujols. It seems like that was the person that they were going to go with for the longest time. Didn't work out that way. They were looking at other guys, but Craig Stallman was a guy that I think kind of just flew under the radar a little bit in their organization, was well respected, as a player with the Padres. His last season was in 2022. And I'm very interested to see with him because, it's crazy. A lot of the guys that he's now going to be managing, he was their teammates. He was teammates with Manny
He played with him.
Machado. He was teammates with Jake Cronenworth. He was teammates with Fernando Tatis Jr. And now he's the head man. Now, the thing I like about this is it seems like he is well respected in that clubhouse, and guys will listen to him. Like, you got some monster egos in that clubhouse, man, specifically with Tatis and Machado. And, both of them at the top of their game at the stages in their careers. Like, they're not just going to, I don't think it would have been taken over so well in the clubhouse if they had just, like you were really gonna have to impress them. And I think while Craig Stallman has never managed before in the big leagues, they know him. You know, they're good friends with him. They believe in him. Like I think it's a good move for the Padres. It came out of nowhere, yes, but this could be a potentially great move. And the guy who's taking over in Atlanta, again, another one in the system. You know, knows how it worked with Brian Snickers. So, um, yeah, I mean, none of these teams really went outside the box. Like they really stayed within their organization, and depending on how you look at it, I really think that could be a good thing. You know, just trying to keep the culture there intact with these both teams. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that last statement you said, I think it plays a big role into some of these cultures that are built, right? So I always, whenever we talk about culture within a baseball team, I always go back to the Tampa Bay Rays, right? That's a team who has a culture top to bottom that's extremely good, and it shows on the field. So, like, the culture card when it comes to hiring managers, I think does play a big role, and I think it'll help out Atlanta in a very big way. Because Atlanta's another one of those teams. Even though they had a down year this season, I still like. This is a team that you can't count out with with the core guys they have, and Snicker just moved up. He didn't get fired or anything. He moved up within the organization, and Walt Weiss taking his place. I mean, I haven't heard much on this guy. If I'm being honest with you, just because I'm
me
not a
either.
Braves fan. That's what it comes down to. And I don't know much about this guy, but the Braves are an organization that they always seem to make the right choices. Whether they have a down season or a great season, whatever that looks like. This is an organization that's well respected and it shows on the field. So I have to trust them in this hiring, and we'll see where it goes. On to the Padres now. Now, this is a culture that I don't know if you want to keep intact, right? Um, there's been multiple reports about how there's been toxicity within the clubhouse, and managing this team can't be easy, man. It really can, and I hope I hope Stallman is I mean, I hope he's up to the task, man. But yeah, no, you kind of mentioned it. He's a former player. Um, Retired in 22. He's a young dude when it comes to managing. He really is. I think it's a good hire overall. I do. I'm always split in the middle when it comes to hiring former big league players, right? Clearly, the New York Yankees have one at the moment, and I can't stand him. So it's one of those things where it can either bite you in the ass or it can be a really good thing. And I think for the Padres, man, I think as of right now, I don't have anything wrong with this hiring, except for the fact that to me, if Albert Pujols was right there, I don't know. Like Pujols is that baseball lifer, right? He's a guy who has managing experience within the WBC. He's a guy who's well respected. He's one of the greatest ball players of all time. To me, I don't know. He seems like the guy who would have fit extremely well in San Diego. Truly, like, and I would have liked that hiring a little bit more. I think um, just because of like that culture thing, right? So Albert Pujols is one of those guys who he's very laid back, right? But when I feel like when he needs to, he's gonna get his guys in check. And I hope Salmon's the same way, But we'll see how it goes. I'm not mad by any of these signings. It's kind of one of those things where you kind of have to play it by ear and kind of watch them manage and see what kind of roles they fall into and what kind of managers they turn into. So it's going to be interesting. But as of right now, it's kind of just one of those things where I'm kind of neutral about these. I don't have anything wrong with it, and I don't have much to say about it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you mentioned you have a former player that's now a manager that you can't stand. I got a former player that's a manager too, and it's going pretty well over here. So, uh,
Well, when you have $1 billion pick, no, I'm kidding.
oh, okay, all right, yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, you're not. I mean,
I'm
you're not
kidding.
that far off. I mean, not that far off, but you know, you're not that far off. But
But yeah,
yeah,
no.
definitely, yeah, definitely. But um, yeah, we'll see what happens with these two teams. Very, of course, living in Southern California, the San Diego's right down the road from me. Like, obviously, keep a close eye on the Padres and what happens with them because they have a lot of questions too. But um, moving on to the next topic here. Seems like we've been doing this a lot, but we got to do this one more time. Awards preview. It is awards week. Um, we have both rookie of the year tonight, and then manager of the year tomorrow. Cy Young Wednesday, and then the MVP um, on Thursday. Which I'm telling everybody right now, there's no need to watch Thursday. You know, it's gonna be Rawlings and Otani, so there's no point in checking in. There's
Chill,
no point in
chill,
there's no
man,
point
chill.
in turning on MLB Network at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, because then I'm telling
Oh,
you right now,
man,
it's gonna be Rawlings and Otani, and thank you, have a nice day, and enjoy the rest of your season. That's what's gonna happen Thursday. So
crazy.
um
That's fucking crazy.
other than other than the MVP, because obviously you have a stakes in that. What other award here are you looking forward to finally getting an answer here? Really,
uh, it's a great question, man. Obviously, obviously MVP is my thing, but
that's
you
gonna
know,
make or break
okay.
Kyle's year right here.
Oh, absolutely, probably, yeah, for sure. I think as far as the other awards go, I'm kind of interested in manager of the year a little bit. I'm not
I
gonna
agree
lie.
with that.
You know, in the American League, you have John Schneider, you have Stephen Vogt, and Dan Wilson. Mariners, Guardians, and Blue Jays, obviously. And then in the National League, you have Terry Francona with the Reds, Pat Murphy with the Brewers, and Rob Thompson with the Phillies.
Oh,
Um, I
not sure.
I definitely think the National League is a little interesting. It's definitely more interesting than the American League. Um, you know, I just I don't know which way to go on that, right? It it is going to be interesting the way that it folds out, but and also like part of me wishes that these awards were given before the postseason, right? Because when I look at
How
that,
the
okay,
NFL
you
does
have
it.
the Reds, yeah, you have the Reds who got bounced in the first round, and then you have the Phillies who kind of they had higher expectations than what happened, man. And then of course you have the Brewers, um, but it's so tough because like it's hard to separate the regular season from the postseason after everything's done, because it kind of gives you a little bit um, more of an idea on on these things. Like for me in the American League, postseason and everything included, it's easily John Schneider with the Blue Jays. But Dan Wilson with the Mariners, man, like he sticks out to me when we're talking about regular season. You know, he took a Mariners team, um, you know, that wasn't projected to go very high. I mean, it's the same with the Blue Jays though. But I mean, there's catch 22s with all of the ways that you can go. But to roundabout answer to answer your question, it's definitely manager of the year for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm glad you mentioned the postseason and stuff like that, because yeah, it's the same thing with the with the National League side too. Obviously, like you just mentioned, the Phillies had higher expectations than being a first round division series exit, but um, I mean, I don't think he's gonna win it anyways. I think it's gonna come down to Pat Murphy or Terry Francona, but um, I can see both things where it's like I think personally no, I mean I think Pat Murphy's gonna win it just because the Brewers,
Hmm.
like
Me too.
they with all the money that they don't have apparently, which I don't buy that, but like just the
They steamrolled.
right, exactly, they steamrolled. They won the most games in the I think they had the best record in all of baseball. So this season, but then
Hmm.
I can also you can make a case for Terry Francona, like yeah, like even though he took off for like a year or two from managing, but he helped get a Reds team that was kind of stuck there in like no man's land in the middle. Like they weren't horrible enough, to lose 90 games or 100 games, but they weren't good enough to win 90 games to make the postseason. And I mean, I don't think they cracked 90 wins this year either, but um, Francona was able to help them really get across the finish line. And I've mentioned this many times before on other podcast shows that we've done, that I really believe a manager, a good manager, can get you an extra 5 to 10 wins during a season. And I think you saw that,
Oh,
and I think you
absolutely.
saw that this year with Terry Francona. If it was somebody else
Mhm.
managing that team, like I don't know if, because they had a very good September. Now, all the other part of it was because the Mets collapsed and had a horrible September, but um, the other part of it was that they had to rise to the occasion in that last month and win these games, and that's what the Cincinnati Reds were able to do under Terry Francona. So I'm very interested to see how the voting process go. I still think Pat Murphy's going to win it, but I don't think it's going to be unanimous or a blowout or anything. I think Pat Murphy's only going to win by a couple few votes, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be dead wrong, and he wins by more than 15, but I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But like that, I'm so glad you brought up the Mets collapse because that's where, like, in my opinion, Pat Murphy has the edge. Pat Murphy, not once did we think like after a certain point of the season, we knew the Brewers were going to win that division. We didn't have a single idea of a collapse of anything like that. And watching some of like the postseason moments regarding the Brewers, you could just see that this Brewers team was a team that got behind Pat Murphy and believed in him. And I'm not saying the Reds didn't with Terry Francona, but how much of this plays into the fact that Terry Francona got the Reds to the postseason, right? But also too, how much of this plays that the Mets collapsed, and if the Mets played even 75 ball in September, the Reds wouldn't have even made the postseason. You really never know. And obviously, I'm not a voter, so we'll see how it goes. But manager of the year, man, it's definitely interesting though, because like I feel like all the other categories, you have a really good idea of who's gonna win, right? Cy Young, MVP, Rookie of the Year, even. So for me, I think the one that's like just out there, up for grabs, is definitely manager of the year.
All right, well, I've held you off long enough. I gotta take the locks off of you and let you run wild here. Make your final case for Judge to win MVP Thursday night.
Oh man, if I haven't done that enough this in the last couple of months.
I can see
Yeah,
you're like
man.
a
I
dog
mean,
starting to, bite the chain off.
oh, absolutely. No, man. Just obviously, this is on regular season alone. Don't get me wrong. Cal Raleigh had a phenomenal season. He did. He had 60 homers. Most ever by a catcher. He was making Seattle franchise records. I get it.
But he
But
choked at
if
the
we're
end when it
looking,
mattered most to break Judge's record. That's what Kyle wants to say.
well, that too. But no. For me, man, I look at MVP as a collective award of all the stats, right? And a lot of people that I've been hearing is like, oh, well, Judge beat Otani in 2022 only because he hit 62 home runs. Well, that's not necessarily the case. If you look side by side at their stats, it was pretty damn close. And now, don't get me wrong here, okay? If Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge finished out 2025 with categories that were pretty similar, even if Judge only had a head in one or two categories, I would give it to Raleigh. I truly would. Judge blows Raleigh out of the water in every other category. Okay, that is my biggest thing. And I'm not even trying to be biased here. Judge blows Cal Raleigh out of the water. Dude, it's not even close on some of these stats. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. It really is. Um, and the stats that Cal Raleigh does lead in is only by a couple, man. I think it's games played and home runs. And I'm pretty sure Cal Raleigh finished with 7 more home runs than Judge, and I think he played in 9 more games than Judge. To me, that is not enough to put him over the edge of Judge. Judge is all around a better player. Um, he's all around just more valuable to the Yankees than Cal Raleigh is to the Mariners. I'm sorry. That's just the way that I feel because I can guarantee you right now, the Yankees wouldn't have even sniffed the postseason if they were without Judge. Now you do that with Seattle. I don't know if that's the case. Um, I'm not in tune to Seattle Mariners games as much as I am the Yankees, obviously, but I feel like Judge just played a bigger role, man, and the stats tell me that. So that's my final case for the 2025 AL MVP. We'll see how it goes on Thursday, but to me, man, I'm trying not to be biased, but when I look at the stats, they don't lie. Sorry, they don't.
And if you were one of the voters that didn't vote for Aaron Judge, you could go fuck yourself. That's what Kyle says.
Damn right, man. Hell yeah.
um, two words I'll say about that: voter fatigue. There we go. Um, I think again. I'm gonna make my.
Otani doesn't win, then. Otani
Well,
doesn't
you know,
win.
so
It's Kyle Schwarber's award. Kyle Schwarber wins MVP.
Shohei's different. You know, he's a unicorn. You know, he's one of one. You know, you can't
Get the fuck
you
out
can't
of here.
replicate what Shohei Otani has been doing. Yeah, let's not go down that path now. No, but I know. Yeah, I really backed myself into that one. Um,
I get where you're coming from, though. I do. I get where you're coming from, and it's a much closer case in the American League than it is in the National League. So I totally understand it, but to me, it's the stats, man.
yeah.
It is like we are judging these two players off of their 2025 regular season stats. Which player was more valuable? Okay, even if you want to add extras into it, which player was more valuable to their team? And to me, it's Aaron Judge. I'm sorry. It just the way that the way that I look at this, I don't see a world where Cal Raleigh's 2025 was better than Aaron Judge's.
Here's why the voter fatigue doesn't apply to Shohei and Schwarber. Because if Schwarber did not hit 58 home runs this season, we would not be having this conversation. Shohei,
Okay. Does the same go for Cal Raleigh?
fuck, I didn't think about that. Fuck. All right, you got me on that one again. Damn it. All right, well, voter fatigue can kick rocks then. Um, honestly, to answer your question, no. To answer your question, no. I don't think Raleigh's in the conversation. I'm gonna answer.
Okay.
So
That's all I wanted to
that's
know.
my bad. I'll take my L on that one. I'll take my L on that one.
It's all good.
Uh, but yeah, no. I mean, it still applies, and again, it goes both ways here. But
Mhm.
again, if Schwarber did not hit the 58 home runs, I just don't think we're having a conversation right now. And I know there's gonna be a lot of you
I get it.
mad
It makes sense.
Thursday when Shohei wins MVP. I know there's gonna be a lot, especially a lot of fans in Philly. How could you give it to Shohei? You
Hmm.
know, Schwarber hit 58 home runs. He had over 130 RBIs. That's all you let in. Home runs and RBIs, which don't
Hmm.
get me wrong, it means something. But Shohei had a better batting average. I think he had a higher WAR. He pitched this year too, which he actually wasn't that bad. I know he didn't pitch that much, but um, yeah. I mean, I just if he didn't hit 58 home runs, we're not having this conversation. And again, one final thing here. There were so many of you last year that were trying to give the MVP to Lindor because Shohei did not pitch and he only played DH. You same people are trying everything in your power to make sure Schwarber wins it this year. And when Shohei wins it again, it's gonna be, oh well, of course they gave it Otani. You know, that's the golden boy. No shit. But he's also put up monster numbers again. And it's gonna be sweet when Shohei wins another MVP Thursday.
Man, I just loved your case for Aaron Judge though.
Yeah, I know. You can take Shohei out and just put in Judge, and it's the same conversation.
It's all good, man. I totally get where you're coming from. I'm just busting your
Kyle wants
balls.
to fuck
But
around
no,
today. All right, he wants to fuck around today. All right. No, I'm
when
just
it
kidding.
comes to Aaron Judge, I will die on that hill.
Nothing wrong with that, man. That's true. I mean, I'm still going Raleigh, but I'll put it to you this way: wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be upset if Judge wins on Thursday. Would not be. I get it.
Okay.
I get it. Now I know you will be if Raleigh wins, which is fine. That's how you
Oh yeah,
should feel.
definitely.
But and I will definitely be upset if Schwarber wins Thursday.
There's no world, man. I'm sorry.
I
There's no
agree.
world where Kyle Short would win the MVP. I'm
I
sorry.
agree. So but would not be shocked and Wouldn't be upset if Judge wins again. I get it. I get it. But we'll
Okay.
see how the voters feel Thursday. We'll see how they feel. I'll tell you one thing:
That
if
we
Judge
will.
wins, it's not going to be unanimous. I can tell you that right now. I think Raleigh
Oh,
is going to get a ton
absolutely.
of votes, especially if there's
Yeah.
voters out here, that were up, West Coast watching these games and stuff.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying Judge is like I can make a case for Raleigh, but when you're asking me personally, that's where like to me I'm gonna defend my guy, dude. You know, especially when the stats are there to back it up. So for me, I'm obviously you know I'm a stats guy. That's what it comes down to. Like I understand there was history made, and I'm not taking anything away from Cal Raleigh. I'm really not. But if we're looking at the MVP award, it's got to be everything. It can't just be a matter of how many home runs you hit. Cal Raleigh hit 247 in the regular season. Judge was batting over 300, and it was a pretty hefty 300. You know, it's just it's everything, man. To me, so that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And one quick thing, and then we'll get out of here. And I probably should have mentioned that when we were talking about the managers, but to the three finalists, congratulations. You're deserving all the finalists. You're deservingly you deserve of it. But Dave Roberts beat all three manager of the years. All Dave Roberts beat the three 2025 National League Manager of the Year candidates in the postseason, I may add, and beat the potential winner in the American League in John Snyder. So, what we have to say to that, you can have your little award tomorrow night. Just know that Dave Roberts and we got the one that matters the most, baby. Oh, we got the one that matters the most. I think Dave Roberts is going to be completely fine for not even being nominated for Manager of the Year because he got me another one of these. I'll leave it at that.
Listen, man. Do you remember what I told you? Right, it was at the beginning of the postseason, and we were doing our previews and things like that. I said to you that the Dodgers are built for the postseason. The regular season doesn't matter. So honestly, for the fact that Dave Roberts wasn't even a
No, and he
manager of the year
shouldn't have.
candidate, I
He
don't.
shouldn't have. I'm not saying he should have. He shouldn't have been.
It October matters to the Dodgers, and that's exactly what they proved. So that's to me at least, that's the way I look at it.
All right, now let's bring down the mood a little bit. There is another big gambling scandal that came out over the weekend involving two Guardians players. We all know who they are. Um, Emmanuel Clase and why am I blanking on the other one? Luis
Luis
Ortiz. That
Ortiz,
is correct. Um, this is a problem. We've said this a thousand
yes sir.
times, but it is starting to reel its ugly head. Like seriously, we are. It's gotten so bad. There's stories of giving information to the mob, you know, giving out information to the cartel, letting a friend know to place a bet on their behalf. Um, it is getting to the point where we are serious. If we don't fix this, somebody's gonna lose their life because of this. I hate to go all the way to the bottom like that, but it's true. Like when you see all these mob movies and TV shows, when it always comes to money and gambling, if something goes wrong or somebody doesn't pay off their bet or somebody doesn't win, it usually ends up with somebody getting killed. And that's the fear of this continuing to go on. Like I listen, I understand and now all of professional sports is to blame for this as too. They're not exactly clean here because like I said, the MLB Awards presented by BetMGM. How many commercials did you see for FanDuel or DraftKings during the postseason or the World Series this year? Once you let the cat out of the bag, it was going to be very hard to get it back in. But we have to do a better job of containing this. Seriously. Like, I just don't understand a world where, like, especially a guy like Clase, like, dude, you're making $6 million. And you're willing to give that all up for 12,000? Really? Like
Mhm.
I that's the thing that I don't get. Like listen, thankfully gambling is not legal in California. Sports gambling is not legal in California. Otherwise, I would probably be calling that 800 number, once or twice. But um, just being honest here, I'm not just being honest here. I probably would have called that 1-800 number by now. But um, like I just don't understand how like you can just throw your whole career away like that. I just don't get it. I got Kyle with that one. He liked that one. Huh? All right.
You did, yeah.
Um, Something has to change.
Yeah.
And I don't like what Commissioner Manfred did, and we'll get to him a little bit later. Speaking of the mob, um, uh, $200 putting a $200 cap on this, like, well, what is that gonna do? What does that do? Nothing. Okay, cool. I can go put 200 on 10 different pitchers to fuck it up. I can still make my money and make more. This is a huge problem, and I don't see an end in sight. There's no end in sight, and unfortunately, it, and these leagues are not going to stop, you know, getting money from these gambling companies because they make so much off of it. They're not just going to be like, all right, well, we're done with DraftKings, we're done with FanDuel. They give these teams too much money to just cut it all off. But something has to be done because I'm very afraid that, we're gonna hear a story of some player was so deeply in debt that they just killed him. Like seriously. Like I hope that doesn't happen. Seriously. But we have got to do a better job of policing this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm gonna get a little a little dark for a second. So, um, mental health is clearly an issue in this
Right.
country, right? Especially when it comes to addictions. I dealt with it. I'm very open with that. Mine was alcohol, but gambling is a big thing that people get addicted to, right? And the fact that it's so easily accessible, even to these players, right? And you kind of just said like, what happens if these players they get in so far debt and they get killed, right? That's the big worry. But also too, there is a flip side to this as well, and I kind of touched on it just a second ago. These players can get so far into debt that they could kill themselves.
Yeah.
And I hate to be like I hate to bring the mood down completely, but this is an actual issue in this country. And it's something that I'm a huge advocate for, and I will continue to be. Um, it's no joke, man. This gambling shit needs to be under wraps as soon as possible. And I'm gonna go back to the age old saying: money is the root of all evil. It truly is. And the fact that there's a guy who's, like you said, making 6 million a year. Okay, I don't even make a fucking quarter of that. The normal person just doesn't. And you got to understand, you're extremely fortunate to be in that position, okay? And the fact that you're willing to throw your entire career away. And this is a guy, right? This is a guy who was one of the best closers in baseball. You hit the free agent market, you're getting a big old payday. Dude,
He
this
was about
guy
to be a Dodger. They were about to trade for him and
I
Kwan before that happened.
I was gonna say, man, there was a report that came out that he was gonna make like $36 million a year. That was his projected salary. Okay, and you're willing to throw that away for $12,000, dude? I'm not even willing to put a $12 bet on something just because of
I am.
the way my past. it is it is something that is truly such an issue, and how we talked about these players getting in trouble with the outside stuff, right? To me, there was that video that came out that Clase purposely threw a ball, right? And Andy Pajes swung at it way outside of the zone. There is nothing that Clase could have done more to make that bet go the way that he wanted to. Now your pitches are so fucking nasty that you get a that you get a guy to swing out World Series champion Andy
Damn
Pajes.
right. Game
Um,
7 hero Andy Pajes.
you get a guy like that to swing outside of the zone on that crazy of a breaking ball, okay, that you intended to be a ball the entire way, just to swing your bets. Well, what happens? Guess what? These angry people doing your bets and stuff, dude. You told us you were going to throw a ball. Well, he swung. That's not our fault. That's your fault. You should have made sure he didn't swing. That's where this shit gets gray, man, and it gets dark very quickly. And to me, it's just not being taken seriously enough. This fucking $200 bet thing that fucking Rob Manfred put in place, please somebody tell me what the fuck is that going to do? Please. I'm sorry. It's not going to do shit. It does not matter because this shit's never going to go away. That is the only way to solve this. And I hate to be so negative about this and everything else, but gambling is never going to go away. They make too much money off of it. You said it. But that is truly the only way to stop this shit. And if that doesn't happen, we're just going to continue to see this. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel with this situation unless it goes away. That is the only way that this shit is going to get better. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen. So, Rob Manfred needs to do better than a fucking $200 betting limit. You are the commissioner of Major League Baseball, where players are getting caught left and right for gambling. You need to figure it out. Not anybody else, you do. And that's something that's probably going to come up in the CBA. I can guarantee you. It's going to be a topic, and it's going to be that and the fucking luxury tax. Or I'm sorry, the salary cap. Those are the two main topics that if this gambling shit keeps going, man, those are the two main topics that it's going to be in the CBA. And I truly hate being such like a negative person about this because it's the sport that I love and it's not what I want to be talking about, but dude, it's not going to get better. I truly don't see a way where it does. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But like, what happened to like the love for the game, man? You know, the whole reason why you and I are recording this podcast right now, the whole reason why you and I have ATD, the whole reason why we do media, the whole reason why we watch this sport and we fucking judge our entire feelings and mood off of it for 9 months out of the season, 9 months out of the year. Dude, baseball is like a huge part of our lives, and baseball runs our mood, dude.
Speak
Like I
speak for
was
yourself. I got the over on 50 minutes here with some bookie on the phone for this podcast length. Speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
but yeah, man, it's like what happened to the love of the game and just I'm telling you, man, money is the root of all evil, and unfortunately we're seeing it. That's what it comes down to, man, and it's a tough situation, but I don't see this topic going away anytime soon. This is probably going to be have this something we're going to have to talk about time and time again when this happens. I made a post today. um, Emmanuel Clase pitched to under a 2.0 ERA his entire career, a career that's probably over at this point. Um, I believe he was over a 10 WAR. He was projected to go to the Hall of Fame if he kept it up. This is a guy who could have cemented a legacy for the entirety of his career, whether it was in Cleveland for the rest or whether he went somewhere else. This man was going to get paid. He was going to go down as one of the greatest closers of all time. He threw it away for $12,000. 12,000. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a lot of it's a lot of money to us, right? If I had a check laying here for 12 grand, I'd be a happy man. But 12 grand, he threw that away for a guy making 6 million a year. Who's to say these minor leaguers don't do it more? Who's to say these guys making league minimum doesn't do it more? I'm telling you, man, this shit is not going to go away. If a guy like Clase can do it, a guy who is projected to be in the Hall of Fame, it's not going to go away. I'm sorry. I don't see a way where it does. It sucks. It truly does. Um, I I hope it stops, and I hope Manfred and the rest of Major League Baseball comes together, and NFL, NHL, and the NBA too. I hope it's all of the major sports come together and try to figure this shit out, or if it's just Major League Baseball in itself, because it seems like baseball is the fucking hotspot for gambling. It's nuts, but I hope something happens. I truly do, but yeah, this is a guy who threw away a Hall of Fame career for 12 grand, and it's sad. It's a sad situation, and I hope it stops. I truly do because I hate talking about this shit. I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about fucking free agent signing. I want to talk about funny shit. I don't want to talk about gambling. This shit sucks. But it is what it is, man. And there's people who they're they just try to make an extra buck. So we'll see what happens. But it's a tough situation. It truly is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I was just joking around earlier. I know, like I know I know gambling's a big issue in this country, and if you do call that 1-800 number, God bless you because you're helping yourself. So you're
Absolutely.
helping yourself get better, and you recognize that you have a problem. So, um,
Yeah.
you know, so
That's more than a lot of people say, so
yeah.
props to you.
Thank you, but um, continuing the dark mood here. How about
Even
even
worse,
worse?
man.
How about Commissioner Manfred? Apparently, it's now the mob now. So there was a story that came out from TMZ over the weekend, which I'm glad I saw it before half of the country was asleep. So um,
Yeah.
I put it out. But so remember, let me um, just kind of refresh everybody's memory here real quick. So earlier this summer, there was a report. Well, really earlier before the end of the season, the regular season, there was a report that came out that um, you know Commissioner Manfred apparently went into the Phillies clubhouse to talk to some of the players about the salary cap, and I guess Harper did not want to hear it, and he essentially cussed them out. That was the end of the story right there, until Saturday night, 48 hours ago. Um, the report was that Bryce Harper and the players were still talking to Manfred, and apparently one of his officials was heated, not happy, and he went up to Harper and said, "Hey, you don't talk to the commissioner like that." And he said this, and I quote, I'm really burying the lead here. And I quote, "That's how people end up in a ditch." That's a threat. That's that's like killing somebody. Like, what are we doing here? Like seriously. Like now, um, we don't know who this person is. We don't know who said it. But clearly the way, and I listened to the interview on TMZ, it was clearly somebody in Manfred's circle. However big it is, however
Hmm.
small it is. I don't think we're gonna find out who that person is. But if Manfred wants to save his ass a little bit, I would think he would be out of a job right now. But
Yeah.
um, you can't be saying stuff like that, man. And he's super lucky. Now maybe he was being serious, but Bryce Harper is super lucky that he did not just come out and say that right away. Because right now,
Yeah.
Commissioner Manfred and really the entire front office of baseball, their reputation is not great right now. And
No.
and Bryce Harper could have easily said, "Now hold on a second. Yeah, I cussed him out because I said how I felt, but then I got threatened by one of his right hand people. This is just an awful look, and we're 1 year away from a stoppage here, and I don't think this is gonna help." Now, I did say this in the comments section. I do believe that the Players Association does have leverage over them right now, because I'm sure Tony Clark and the rest of the people, CC Sabathia, the people that are there that involve with the Players Association, I'm sure they're not happy about that. Because it's like, hey, that's one of
No.
our players. Like, you just threatened one of our players, and you know, I basically saw all of Philadelphia on the Twitter line that was really to die for Bryce Harper. So, um, I'm sure you're gonna see a lot of that, but this is not good, man. We just had an incredible World Series where 50 million people across 3 countries just watched it. And now we're back to the gambling stuff, and we're back to officials threatening players now. Can't we can't Major League Baseball can't have anything good for a week before the bad press comes
No.
back in. That's my 2 cents on
No.
it. Something
Not at
has
all.
to change, and again, if you think, and again, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope in a year from now some progress will be changed, will be made, and we don't have to have this lockout. Kind of like how we all thought how bad it was going to be in 2022, or yeah, 2022, and they still ended up able to get a full season in. How, I don't understand, if you're one of these people that is just optimistic that there's not going to be a lockout next year and they're going to figure this out. I think you gotta recheck yourself, dude. Like there's been too much smoke from both sides to make anybody think that they're gonna figure this out. And I understand, people are like, well, how could you have a lockout with all this good publicity happening with baseball? Most watched World Series in how many years? Like, I'm sorry, like these players and well these people don't care about that. So they
No.
don't care. And unfortunately, and you already heard from Bryce Harper that they are willing to not play in 2027 if they don't get what they want. And I'm sure the commissioners and the owners feel the same way, that we're willing to miss a year because if we don't get what we want. So if you just, and I appreciate the optimism, but if you live in this fantasy land where they're gonna figure this out and we're not gonna have a lockout next season, you are absolutely insane. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, we what the fuck are we doing? I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. Um, I know we just got off the gambling thing. I'm not a betting man, but I'd be willing to bet that we don't that there is a lockout without a doubt. There is going to be
Should
a
go check
lockout. I
that.
hate to be
I'm
the
gonna
bearer
check
of
that
bad
on
news.
FanDuel after this.
There's going to be a lockout. There's no doubt about it. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. If that Harper quote was true, and somebody, and I quote, told him that that's how people end up in a ditch, there needs to be a lockout. I hate to say it, but there needs to be a lockout because there is absolutely no fucking room to be saying shit like that. That's just unacceptable. I don't give a shit if Bryce Harper was cussing every other word at Rob Manfred. You don't say shit like that. You don't. And it's just like it's fucking wild to me. Like how the hell is this guy like I truly do hope that whoever said this is out of a job and is being checked because you can't just like willing like all willy-nilly say that shit. You can't. And not to mention to a major league baseball player, and it could be any professional player, any famous person that you know this shit's gonna get out. So for the fact that he said that and put Rob Manfred's image even worse than what it already is, and I'm not scapegoating Rob Manfred here, but he's not off the hook either. It's the fact that he has guys around that and is willing around him like that and is willing to keep them employed. You gotta, dude. If I go into work tomorrow and say that shit, I'm gonna get fucking arrested. Like you can't do that shit. I don't understand like where morally we went wrong here. Not just in Major League Baseball, but in life in general. It's fucking crazy, man. But this is absolutely unacceptable. There's no room for this. You don't say that. Like I feel like that's just common sense, man. That's common sense. It's crazy to me. And like Bryce Harper is one of the most well-known baseball players. He's high into the players union. Whatever he says, people respect it. I respect it. I respect Bryce Harper as a player. He's a damn good player. He's left a legacy on this game that we can only appreciate. Um, I it's crazy, man. I don't get it, and I'm almost at a loss for words because I as soon as we got on this topic, I really didn't know which way I wanted to go talking about this, and I'm still like that because like there's so many thoughts that's running through my head, and it's like how it's just like I truly don't think, and you said it too. Like I don't think anybody really cares if we have a work stoppage in 2027. And that just goes back and like I'm on the players union side, especially with the issues that we've been talking about, the salary cap, things like that. Um, and if Major League Baseball and its owners are willing to not have a season in 2027, you're going to miss out on a lot of money. We've seen the revenue, we've seen how much money that these teams have made. If you're willing to not have a season, why aren't you willing to then pay these players to get your revenue? I just it seems like a catch-22 to me. It seems like a double-edged sword, and I don't understand this, and it scares me for the sake of Major League Baseball as a whole. This sport is already deemed as the least popular sport in America. Not gonna say the world because I'm located in America, so I'm going off America, and it's already deemed as the lowest ratings sport. It's not a lot of people are into it like the NFL or the NBA. And even like the NHL, man, that's gained steam because they have a good commissioner. The National Hockey League
Oh,
is doing extremely compared to Rob
yeah, yeah,
Manfred.
yeah.
The NHL is doing well, man. All the other sports are doing well, it seems. Yeah, they got their gambling issue, like we talked about, and things like that. But what other sport in America has their front office representatives of the league telling a player that that's how they end up in a ditch. Every sport is doing better than Major League Baseball right now. That's my big thing. I just, it seems like Major League Baseball continues to shoot themselves in the foot. They're coming off an amazing World Series and ratings like we've almost never seen before, and then they go ahead and this shit hits the public. I don't get it, man. I don't understand it, and I hope that we can figure this out. But to be honest with you, man, it's not looking good at all.
And we saw this with the last time too, with when the bargaining agreement came to an end. These guys were not even meeting at the table until February. So don't expect them to
Hmm.
like look at each other across the room and because it's set to expire December 1st. Don't expect them to be all right. December 2nd, let's start hashing this out and talking it out. Like they're not gonna start this until
Nope.
like February when players are supposed to
Hmm.
show up to spring training. All right, now let's talk about it. But it's not a good look. It's awful. And what do you think? Well, I don't know where. I don't. I would hope Manfred's not in Vegas this week for the award show because I'm sure he'll be greeted very nicely. But if he is, and if he does do like his next media conference, which will probably at the winter meetings, what do you think the
Hmm.
first question is going to be? Hey, can you
Oh yeah.
confirm that this is what one of your people said to Bryce Harper over the summer?
Hmm.
If somebody doesn't ask that, they're not doing their job either. But um,
No, it needs to be addressed,
yeah,
man. It
you
needs to
can't
be.
just put
There needs
you
to be.
can't just put shove it under the rug. Oh, all right, whatever. Life goes on. Oh, hold on a second. You're threatening
There
a
needs.
player here. Like
Yeah.
you can't do that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, like, there needs to be a public statement from Rob Manfred regarding this, one way or the other. No press release that's posted on Major League Baseball on their Instagram. No, there needs to be a public um, interview, video conference, whatever you want to call it. There needs to be something that's public that has Rob Manfred saying what the plan is going forward. Is that guy still in that position? It was this taken care of behind closed doors. It needs to be addressed, in my opinion. This is too big of an issue.
Absolutely, and again, you should not say this to any player. But if you could say something like that to Bryce Harper, like what would you have said if it was like the 26th guy on the roster or a minor league
Yeah.
player? If you're saying that to Bryce Harper, who's making millions of dollars, and is
Hmm.
one of the best players and one of the outspoken players we have in the game today.
And not to mention one of the highest players in the players union.
Absolutely,
The whole
yeah.
fact of who you're going to be bargaining with
You might as
next
well
year.
just said it to Tony Clark at that point. I mean, shit, you might as well have said it to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. To me personally, I don't know how you feel about this, and you can give your two thoughts. But like, in my opinion, this next year's lockout is going to be worse than
Oh
the
yeah,
last one we had.
absolutely.
Because here's another here's another thing too. They purposely, like, from what I understood, they just wanted to play ball. They wanted to get the season started.
Right.
So they didn't even finish discussing what they wanted to figure out first, which obviously was a lot of this, like, salary cap, salary floor, money wise, and things like that. How much we're paying the players. That was talked about in the last CBA. Imagine what next year's is going to look like. It's only going to be worse.
Yeah, and
And
you've
I
and
I
you've
hate
heard
saying,
fighting words from like Harper, like we're willing to miss the
yeah,
season, if we don't
yep,
get what we feel like is earned or what we deserve.
yeah,
So you didn't really hear that last time around. You know
no, you didn't.
what you heard from Harper, and I hate to mention this because we did not have a season, we did not have a champion, but you did when Bryce Harper said we're willing to miss a season. You haven't heard that since the '94 strike, stuff like that. You
94.
hadn't
Yep,
heard that since the '94 strike,
yep,
and it looks like that's gonna happen again.
it does. I I don't even want to think about an entirety where we should be playing baseball is spent talking on this podcast about CBA updates. I don't want to do that shit. Nobody wants
You're
to do
away
that.
from it.
That's what I'm saying, man. It sucks. It truly does suck that this is where the state of baseball is. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This Bryce Harper comment is almost like rock bottom to
Pretty
me.
much, that's what it feels like.
It's if it's gotten like I don't understand how this can get any worse. I guess that's one silver lining within all of this, is that I don't think it can get worse. But again, I've been surprised. I'm surprised by this comment. So, so we'll see where it goes. But um, it's going to be a topic that we unfortunately have to discuss. But hopefully, hopefully we could just focus on this upcoming season. We have winter meetings coming up. We can get back into the swing of things and not have to talk about this shit as often because we're going to be doing plenty of it next season, next year.
Absolutely. I'm going to Harvard Law School next year. I'm going to brush up on my law skills and I'm going to learn
It's not a
about
bad
all the
idea.
bargaining agreements. And we're going to come back here in a year and we're going to have a real grasp on this thing. We're going to be giving
Absolutely.
lectures on the bargaining agreement and law. That's what we're going to do. So,
It's not a bad idea.
yeah,
I should brush up on that a
you
little bit.
should, because I don't think we're going to be talking about baseball anytime after 2026.
Probably not. It's going to be CBA 101 is what we should
Absolutely.
rename this fucking
Yes.
podcast to.
Yes. So we will dissect the whole CBA agreement and, or,
Oh
the
my
past
god.
one. But, so,
Wild, man.
yep. Well, that was pretty good. We did an hour here. How about it?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, as soon as we start talking about some of these topics, we go on it, man.
We said a lot, hashed out how we felt. I'm glad. I think we need that sometimes, because
I think
we
so,
get so
yeah.
lost in all the baseball and stuff. I think once in a while we gotta have to mention this. So, um, unless you got anything else, I think that's gonna do it for 153.
I think that's it, man.
Good luck to all the nominees this week. Hope you win, even though we have an idea of who the winners are gonna be already. But um, may the odds ever be in your favor. So, um, yeah, we'll see you next week. Adios.